Hi, I want to show you using Adobe InDesign how we can set up an A1 sheet that we can then later shrink to an A3. So the whole presentation will be designed as an A1 size presentation, but later on we can print this down to an A3, so we kind of get two sizes of presentation for the same amount of work. Okay, so we're looking at this in Photoshop at the moment. I'm just looking at these paper sizes, and this shows you how the A series paper works. We've got the A0 here, then half an A0 is an A1, quarter of an A0 is an A2, eighth of an A0 is an A3, and so on and so on, and it gets smaller and smaller. And all of this is based on the golden section. So I'll just show you that with this diagram. It's the other way around, but it still works the same. So we start off with the kind of the A0 paper size with its ratio of 1 to, I think it's 1.6 or something like that, and that actually is 1 square meter. So it's in millimeters. It's a million square millimeters. Okay, and then the paper size breaks down from that ratio. So it's quite a clever little system. Okay, we've got a little diagram here showing that if we started with this A1 presentation, okay, and like I said, an A1 is actually 4 A3s. So the area of an A1 would give you 4 A3s. So if we wrote something on the A1 and then we shrunk it to an A3, we'd be reducing the height of any item by a half, and we'd be reducing the width of any item by a half. Therefore, if we want text to be legible at A3 when it's scaled down from A1, we've got to be careful. So if we kind of set a minimum height of text of 2 millimeters once it was scaled down, then when we're doing the A1 sheet, we shouldn't do anything that's less than 4 millimeters. And in printing, 4 millimeters equates to just under 12 points. Text height is usually described in points, PT units. Okay, so what we'll do is start with the A1, because that will be the best quality, knowing that we can squash this down to an A3 later, but everything will still be clean and legible and okay for printing again at that smaller size. So that's the logic behind it. Let's see how you set up a file in InDesign. So we'll just hide Photoshop there, and we're in InDesign now, and go for a new file. Okay, there's a few bits of jargon on here that are useful to know. Bleeds and slugs, these are features that you kind of need to consider if you're getting stuff printed using a printing press. For the kind of work we do, which generally goes to laser or bubble jet printers, this doesn't really come in. So this is extra space around a presentation for instructions and for images to run off and then be trimmed off. Okay, margins, you can understand what they are. Now, if we were creating a book, then we'd need to consider what happens with facing pages. If it's going to be a fairly large presentation, with multiple pages, then quite often you would want to print on both sides of a piece of paper. So you have to consider facing pages. With this presentation, we're really kind of printing large A1s for pinning up on the wall. Facing pages wouldn't be necessary. Okay, let's set up the size now. So orientation, let's go for landscape. Tends to be the standard arrangement. And then the page size, we don't actually have access to A1, so we're going to have to create a custom size. Okay, InDesign is generally, they're generally expecting you to create a book type affair, but absolutely fine for doing larger presentations as well. So let's call this A1. use capital letters there, and we'll need to put the size in here, and I'm going to deviate a tiny bit from the diagram that we had up earlier, in that I'm knocking 1mm off the size of the A1. I'm making it 840 instead of 841, just so I can divide the number evenly. Okay, and then the height for this, I'm going to go for 594, so that divides evenly as well. So we'll get, when we go down to A3, we'll end up with 420 by 297, which gives us the A3 size. And OK, so we should have A1 ready to go now, and click OK. So you could just start tearing into this and setting things up, but a better way to work is to consider making templates within this file, and you do that using the Pages tab. Okay, hopefully this isn't too small on the screen. Okay, so it's given us a kind of a total blank that we can use, and then what's called the A master. Okay, now let's for the presentation that you guys have been asked to do, you're needing 3 A1 sheets. Okay, 1 for each person. Now, if all 3 sheets were going to be different, there's not really much need to consider using a master page or a template, because each one of these pages is going to be different. So page 1 could be different to page 2. If I bring up a second page, page 3 is going to be different again. Okay, now that gives you, complete freedom. There's no real need to consider a template. Okay, so let's just get rid of these and see what happens if we were doing a template instead. So if all 3 pages were going to have a fairly similar setup, they could still vary in content, but the general setup was going to be the same, then what we would do is edit the A master, turn this into a template. Okay, so I'll double click that, so I'm now inside the A master page, ready to add the guidelines that I'm going to use for the other 2 pages. Okay, so let's just, all we're going to do is just drag some guidelines on here. Okay, just so you can see something rather than put pictures on just yet. Okay, so we'll have a general setup of guidelines that's going to work for my 3 pages. Okay, so you could add all sorts of stuff into this. You could, the background could be the same for all 3 pages. That goes into the template. No need to redo it 3 times. Okay, so these should now both be exactly the same. The A master and the first page will look the same. Okay, so I'm going to double click page 1. Okay, nothing seemed to have changed. It wouldn't do because they're both identical. So let's add something on the page so that you can see something in this small thumbnail. Okay, I'm going to put a large piece of text in the middle of the page. I'm going to use very big typeface. Let's go for 72, maybe even bigger than that. Let's go for 150, so we can see something written. Okay, so this is going to be page 1. Okay, let's just center that, just so it looks a wee bit tidier. Okay. Okay, now eventually that thumbnail will get updated and the page 1 should appear just around about here. Let's just move it down a bit actually, so it becomes visible under the page 1. There you go, you can just see it underneath the letter A. It's updated the thumbnail there. Okay, so that's page 1 sitting right in the middle. Let's have another page now which should be based on the A master. So I click a second page. You notice here that it's saying A, so these are using the template for the next page. I'm going to jump back to here, copy this piece of text, jump back to this page and paste it in a slightly different position so we know we're on a different page. Okay, so it comes down here and I'll put page 2. Okay, so you see how this is working? If we decided to change the layout, we wanted these guidelines in a separate place, in a different place, we go back to the A master, and I can move the guidelines or add some more. Let's add another little set of guidelines here. Okay, then these guidelines will appear on both of these pages as well, and anything you add to the master will automatically add to the other pages. So this can save a lot of time and get you a very consistent looking presentation. Okay, now if we wanted a third page, fine, we've got our page 3. Okay, we'll put the marker down here. Okay, right, page 3. Okay, but you may decide, well, actually I don't want page 3 to be the same layout. We've decided we're going to change the design for the final page. So that's fine. So we'll scrap this page 3. Okay, he's gone. And what we'd need then is another master page. Okay, so we'll go back up to the A master, and what we'll do is we could create a duplicate of that. So if we click new page when we're in that area, we get the B master. Okay, so let's say we add some different guidelines to the B. We're going to make this page very different to the other one. Lots of divisions that we can use for setting out drawings or whatever it is, or different text. Okay, and if I double click B master, we should end up with a page. Oops, my mistake. We want to be in this area with nothing clicked, but it's good. It should use the B master. Okay, we've not got either of these pages clicked. Click in the space here. Now a new page. That keeps adding another master. My mistake. What we do? Drag the B master into the new pages area. Okay, so that this third page is based on the B template instead. Okay, and then I can put my page 3. Just get that out of the way for a second. Page 3. Okay, so we can see the different positions, the different templates, and it's ready to use. So what we'll do is just do a little test here just to make sure that the text is going to be legible. This would obviously work. That's enormous, that text. 150 point text, that's massive. Okay, it was the small text we were worried about. So let's say we've got a text box in this area, and we're going to use 12 point. I mentioned 12 point earlier, that this equates to very nearly 4 millimeters. If I just show you that, so we'll zoom in on this little piece of text. Okay, and I'm going to write something, so we'll put testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's change this to a different typeface. That's a pretty old school looking typeface, so we'll go for Arial Narrow. So that's quite slender, quite thin text. Okay, now instead of points, you can overrule the units and type whatever you want. So if I go for 4 millimeters, press enter, you can see there that it's changed it to back to the points, and we're just under 12. So that's not a very nice number to consider when you're working things out. 12 is much closer, and it's very close to 4 millimeters. Okay, so we'll copy that bit of text. I'll zoom out slightly, add a space on there, and then I'll copy it again so I can duplicate it a bit quicker. So fire in loads of lines of text there. Okay, so I just want to see what this looks like once it prints. Okay, so we'll export this to a PDF, assuming you've done all the rest of the work, and we'll export that to a PDF and see what it looks like. Okay, so try and get your head around using these templates, because they are extremely useful. We're not using facing pages, but if we were, you would actually see 2 versions of the A master, one for your left side page and one for your right side page. Okay, so we'll export that now. Okay, I'm going to save it on top of this file because I've been experimenting with this already. Okay, so the dialog for exporting PDFs, you can choose a print quality. Now, I find that I really cannot tell much difference between these two. It depends on the kind of printer you've got. If it's super high res, then and you've got really good paper, then you may notice the quality jump to 300. But 144 is a good quality to use. It will look crisp and clean, and your files will be a quarter of the size and more manageable, more portable. Okay, we've got a compression that we can choose. I'm going to go for this lossless one. Doesn't make a huge amount of impact on the file size. Okay, keeps your images looking good. Okay, I don't think anything else needs clicked there. It's going to do all the pages in this document. So click OK. It fires up Adobe Acrobat. Okay, so I can see. Let's scroll down till we see page 3. So that's page 2, page 3. So this is the text. Okay, bear in mind this is on an A1 still. So that's an A1 size paper in inches. So this text is 4mm high. You know, it's more than legible. That's quite big, in fact. Okay, now to make an A3 of this, okay, we don't go back to InDesign. There's no need to do that. You can just print again from Adobe Acrobat, or yeah, it has to be Acrobat. You can't generate another size if you don't have Acrobat. Okay, so you go to File, Print. Okay, and we stick with PDF, Adobe PDF. I need to change the properties, and let's have a look at it was there, it was already there. PDF settings, we want a page size of A3. Okay, I'm not going to change any other settings here, just let it use its standard settings. So OK that. Okay, you need to make sure you can see the paper size change, okay, because it was 33 inches by, it was 22 inches by 33 before. Now it's 11.7 by 16.5, so that's a quarter of the size. And then just go for print. Okay, I'm going to save over this one. It's going to generate the PDF in a second, so have a good think about it. Here it comes. Okay, so we're now at A3 size. Okay, if we can get to this text again. Let's bring it into the come back page 3. Okay, and you can see there that the text is still absolutely fine. Okay, because we've used the Adobe PDF to generate it, so it's keeping the quality. It's not like we're using Photoshop, where if you just squash the page down, you would actually lose some quality. Keeping it as a PDF keeps your text nice and sharp, and I would work in that kind of manner. Okay, so hope that's been useful, and I'm going to stop the video just there.